guys, it's me, Shal360, and I want to start by pre-apologizing for a couple of things. The first thing being is if I burp during this review, because I just got through eating some UK candy, and a lot of the candy had, excuse me, bicarbonate in it, and I drank some water, and I think the water is acting with the bicarbonate, and it's making me kind of ugh. So I apologize about that. Secondly, I'm sorry it took me so long to come up with this review. I finished the last 2 episodes this past weekend, and I could have filmed on Sunday, but I didn't because I was being lazy. And unfortunately, it's now Thursday, and I kind of forgot a few things about the last couple of episodes, but this isn't really going to be a review about the last couple of episodes. I mean, I'm going to talk about what happened, but it's more going to be me talking about how I feel about the series. So hang in there with me, and hopefully you guys will enjoy. But before we get to the review, I have a Korean snack of the day, and I'm going to try to pronounce this before I show this to you. I think this says Bungeoppang. No, Bungeoppang. Bungeoppang. I think that's how you pronounce that. So here you go. That's what I got there. And it is a moist and chewy cake. And I guess it's supposed to look like maybe a red bean covered mochi. And it kind of, to me, just me, because I don't have a lot of experience, it looks to me kind of like the Korean equivalent of a Twinkie. I bought this way back during Thanksgiving. So it's been in my place for almost a month. But the expiration date says that this doesn't expire until January. So I'm kind of at the last few days of being able to eat this. This was packaged way back in July too. That is one thing that is annoying about some of the Asian markets that I go to. And I'm not saying that they're the only ones that do this, but I noticed that stuff stays on the shelf a lot longer in a lot of those places. I don't know if it's because they're packaged for being preserved or whatever, but I've gone into my local Asian grocer and I've bought ramen and brought it home and found out that it was already kind of like past its expiration date. And I mean, it's still safe, but sometimes the noodles are stale and it doesn't taste as good. And I kind of wish that they would keep better track of their inventory, but then again, you know, they are a small mom and pop shop, and from where I live, it takes hours to get anything to us from a bigger city, and then probably even longer to get items from Korea, so I can't really be mad, but it's a pet peeve of mine. But this is the cake, how it comes. It comes in these individually wrapped packages, and I'm going to open this up and see what it's like. And the reason why my package was already open is because I sent one to a friend. Alright, wow. So, this is our cake here. Oh, that's cute. That's what it looks like right there. And I'm going to break it open before I try any. Oh, okay. This is what the inside looks like. Not particularly attractive. I don't know, I think I was expecting there to be some kind of cream other than the brown in it. I mean, maybe I'm weird, but look at that. Doesn't that look like it's like brown and white? This doesn't have any kind of white in it at all. I wonder if maybe the white part melted, because I mean, it has been around since July. Oh man, I'm kind of scared now. Let's go ahead and try it. No. The cake itself is not bad. In fact, the cake reminds me of another Korean snack I've had, which were these tiramisu cupcakes. But there's like a chewiness around the red bean filling, and that chewiness that's around that red bean. Yes, it is red bean. It's not chocolate red bean. Anyway, that chewiness around the red bean, it kind of has almost a cheesy flavor. I'm not a fan of that. And also, you know, like I said, it's been around since the summer. And so I'm wondering if maybe that cream kind of baked into the cake and made that kind of chewiness. And that's why it tastes kind of cheesy. So I don't think necessarily that this is a bad snack. I think I might have a bad or old batch. So that's not, it's an inconclusive review. Sorry about that. Speaking of inconclusive, let's talk about She Was Pretty. So when we started off the very last episode, we had already found out that Pongho was the vice president. We found out that Siwon's character, Shin-yuk, was 10, and I don't know, the magazine was in, it might win, it might not win, whatever. So Siwon, his character, and Seung-joon have a sit down, and Siwon explains that he initially thought that he would be giving this interview to Jackson, but that instead he's giving it to Seung-joon because Seung-joon would have the heart to out him to the world. And of course Seung-joon's like, are you willing to give all this up? And he's like, I will, because I don't want to see Jackson cry. To the end of the road, Shin-yuk. Yes. Anyway, so Seung-joon takes this recorder that Shin-yuk has, that is this recording of this interview he was going to give to Jackson, which when they played the tape later on in the episode, it's obvious that he never intended it to be an interview for either Jackson or Seung-joon to do. Like, it literally sounds like a going away letter, which how can you do an interview based on that? Because there's like questions you would ask if you were having a real journalistic interview. You would ask, you know, like, tell me about your writing process. Tell me what your favorite character is that you've ever written. Tell me what the hardest decisions are that you have to make in a storyline. What makes for good plot points? What makes for good conflict? How do you feel about being published in multiple languages? How many of those languages do you actually write in? Do you only write in English? Do you only write in Korean? Do you write in both? You know, there's all those questions to answer, and none of that was on that tape. But then again, you know, Shin-yuk, of course, knew that neither one of them was going to publish it. And so he actually contacted the printer and he put the article in himself, which was a cool going away present. But I kind of felt like the rest of the characters, I'm like, I feel bad for you because you've given away this anonymity that you had. There was a time when you were able to walk the streets. No one knew who you were. You could live a life that any man could live, but you had the resources to live any way you pleased. I mean, it was a kind of a freedom that he had, and now that freedom's kind of gone. And at the end of the story, because I'm putting both of the last two episodes together, at the end of the story, we see Shin-yuk for the last time, and he's on some kind of ship. I don't know what kind of ship we're talking about here. If it's like a merchant marine ship, I just don't know. I don't know if he's in the military now. Nothing about the ship makes sense because it doesn't seem like a cruise ship because it's got like fucking bunk beds in it. But anyway, he's on this ship. This white guy goes up to him and is like, hey, aren't you 10? And he's like, yeah, I am. And the guy's like, cool, let me have your autograph and take a picture of you. And can I have some of your DNA? And he's like, oh, I'm just kidding, man. And then he throws like a tarantula at him. Not a real tarantula, but a rubber tarantula. Because, you know, he's still a big old kid. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with Shin-yuk. I kind of wish I had more resolution to that. But I will say that I am guilty of something that I shouldn't have done, and I respect the writers for what they did. I wanted to pair off Shin-yuk with Hari. Like, I thought they would be a good match. But at the end of the story, Hari's not paired off with anybody, and Shin-yuk's not paired off with anybody. And to me, going back and thinking about it, that's really good because the problems that Hari had were really her problems, you know, because her problems started with her relationships with other people and how that affected her own self-image and self-esteem and the way that it led her to make certain life decisions, dating decisions, how it affected her self-confidence and her self-image. And by her not getting immediately thrown into another relationship, especially a relationship with a high-profile author who probably would be willing to solve your problems. Instead, she has to solve her own problems, and she manages to solve her problems by looking at herself with a critical eye, but also, you know, looking at herself for her good points, and her good points were she actually did a kick-ass job working for the hotel. So she goes back into the hotel business, and at the end of the show, we see her helping out a customer and doing, you know, a great job at it. And I was glad that they wrapped her up like that. I was also glad to see that Hari and Heejin's relationship didn't change with her being so close to Seung-joon, because there was a moment when Heejin and Seung-joon, they were going to drive off somewhere, and Hari was hugging Heejin in front of Seung-joon, and Seung-joon, like, his character looked a little bit uncomfortable, but Hari didn't. She was like, I fucked up and I apologize and everything else, but at the end of the day, this is my best girlfriend in the entire world, and I'm always going to be there for you. She even throws Heejin a party, and it's so cute with the two of them just like totally girlfriending out. And when Heejin moved out of their apartment and Hari is like crying and Heejin's crying, I was like, these two are the best. Like, that's my OTP right there, is those two. I love them. So yeah, I was really glad with where they left Hari's character. She went back to school. She's working for a hotel. She's living on her own, taking care of herself. So that was good. Heejin and Seungjun. So before we had the whole, I want to marry you as soon as I save the magazine. Well, I guess maybe Seungjun got cold feet or something, but he tells her, I've decided I'm not going to marry you. Even though the magazine has been saved, I'm not going to marry you now. Instead, I want to go to America, start all over again, and then once I've gotten back on top, I'll go ahead and I'll re-propose, which I guess that's okay. I mean, I get why he was like, I want to show you that I've done something, because he's right. He didn't really save the most. Shinyuk saved the most. But at the same time, he was there, and, he did inspire a leadership choice of some sort to Shinyuk, so that's cool. But anyway, he's like, I'm going to America, will you come with me? And of course, Heejin, because she's got, this need to follow him anywhere he goes, is like, yes, of course, I'm going to go to America with you. But then she gets a call from the children's book author, which I am so glad they brought that woman back into the story, because I remember before I thought that was Hari's mother, because they kind of gave her a little bit more attention than you normally give somebody. And they brought that back into the story at the last minute. And the author's like, I love the article you wrote for me. I want you to come hang out with me for a minute. And then when she comes to hang out with the author, she finds out that the author's got this kind of like writer's collective going on, where like all the authors live together and they're all writing this series of children's books. And Heejin is conflicted because she kind of wants to join this, but at the same time she wants to be with Seungjun. He's important to her, and they've reconnected after all this time. What should she do? Well, she goes to Seungjun's house, and being cute and just adorable and nervous, she's like, I want to propose to you. Here's your ring. Here's my ring. We're gonna get married. I love you. Now I have to tell you something bad. And before she can even say anything, he stops her and says, you want to join that artist collective, and you don't want to go to America with me. You want to spend a year apart. And I thought it was cool that he said that, because I felt like last time when I talked about the two of them, I really did feel like they were moving too fast. Like constantly just, we're going to get married, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I needed something to show me that he knows who she is currently, not just who she used to be to him. And I think they did a good job with that, of illustrating how, like, he knows her. Like, he knows kind of the way she would react to things, the desires of her heart. And also he's willing to be an open and giving partner. So she comes in the house, and he's like, it sucks that you proposed to me, because I was going to propose to you. And then he kind of tricks her into being a part of his original proposal idea. That was really sweet. They did the whole thing with the puzzle. But she goes and joins this writers cooperative. Seungjun goes to America, works his way up, but somehow or another it ends up that he comes back to Korea to work at the most. Heejin finishes her time with the authors collective. The two get married, and they have a little girl who looks just like her grandpa. And that's the end. So now that I've kind of broke down everything that happened, for the most part, things that I was concerned about, one last thing I need to mention. There was a moment when Heejin went back into Seungjun's apartment because she was about to leave that evening, but, sexy time moods were hitting her. She went back into his apartment. He leaned old girl against the wall and started kissing her. I don't know what she was doing, but he looked scrumptious. That is like the sexiest scene I've seen for that actor in this entire series. Like, the other second sexiest scene for him was not the shower scene. The shower scene was cool, but I mean, his shower scene wasn't nearly as good as Shiwon's towel scene. But The other sexy scene for me, and this is something that maybe you guys don't find sexy, is when he had lost all the staff and he met her in the parking garage and he hugged her and he kind of curled up around her. Oh, I thought that moment was just so good. But yeah, sexiest scene for me is when he had her up against the wall and had, like, was totally bent over kissing on her. I was like, ooh, girl, it's supposed to go down tonight. But yeah, that was my sexiest scene for the actor that plays Seung-Jun. But back to overall for the series. Overall for the series, I could have been done with the series at the end of episode 15. I really didn't need all of the epilogue for episode 16, only because the epilogues that I got weren't necessarily about the people I cared about. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was glad to see that Gold Digger has kind of accepted that she's going to marry a poor man and is planning a cheap wedding. I was glad to see that Pong Ho and reporter Cha didn't necessarily get together, but, you know, he's back working at the magazine because that seemed to be where he was comfortable, so that was nice. And I was glad to see that Shin Yuk is, you know, still has a certain level of freedom. But, I mean, the whole watching Seung-Jun and Hee-jin get married, watching what their married life is like, watching him walk a little girl across the street who's got, you know, the freckles and the crazy hair, I really didn't need all that. I mean, I could assume that, but that really didn't add anything to the narrative for me. The only thing that really did anything is I like how she wrapped up kind of the narration from the very first episode to the narration for the last episode. And there was some really pretty work with the outdoor scene when they went on the picnic. Like, wherever they were, that forest area looked gorgeous. But yeah, I don't know. The rest of it, I thought it was like they ran out of ideas. So let's just show everybody like what a happy ending looks like. We'll give them every bit of this happy ending. You know, even the wedding scene felt weird to me because it shows them waiting outside the wedding hall. But I really would have liked to have seen them in the wedding hall, surrounded by the people from the magazine, surrounded by their family. Maybe Hari's mom would come back into town for it, since that's like her best friend's daughter getting married. That would make sense. I would have liked to have seen some kind of, you know, reconciliation, not even reconciliation, some kind of explanation or confrontation between Hari and her stepmother. I would have liked to have seen Gold Digger's wedding instead. Honestly, that would have been cool to watch. I would have liked to have seen Hari get a new roommate. That might have been really cool. There's just more stuff I would have liked to have seen that I didn't see in the last episode because the writers just kind of, they gave a damn. They're like, we wrapped up the main mysteries of the show. Everybody seems to be doing okay. Let's just keep going, you know. And so episode 16 was really a throwaway episode. And that made me sad only because, like, it ended nice, and all the time people complain about K-dramas not ending well or ending ambiguously. This obviously didn't end ambiguously. But, you know, I almost feel like, I don't know, I just kind of feel like I would have been happy with the episode 15 ending the way it did and just cutting it out right there. Overall, though, I really enjoyed this drama. I love that she was pretty. Ended up meaning something else at the end. When Hee-jin looked at Hari and Hari was studying and she said, "You're so pretty." And then she went in the bathroom and saw herself without a passion and said, "I'm not pretty." It was nice to know that even though she had makeup done and everything else, she still felt her prettiest when she was excited about what was going on in her life. And towards the end of the episodes, she started to kind of devolve from that initial makeover she had where she straightened her hair and put on all the makeup. We started to see the freckles kind of return. We started to see the hair get curly again. So these things I really enjoyed and I really liked. So that was nice. But yeah, I like that, you know, the point wasn't that once you get a makeover, your life's going to be good or that you need to look good in order to get men interested in you. Instead, it really was about her character. It was about her inner light shining. And when the title says she was pretty, it wasn't that, you know, she used to be cute. It was that she was a beautiful person. And she's still a beautiful person, even if all this on the outside kind of clouds that thought. So I appreciated that being the main message of it. And I like how it seemed that everyone in the story was pursuing their true passion towards the end of the series. So for me, that was the main thing I was the most happy about. And I think I promised on my last video that I was going to give you my theory about what was going on with Hari's family. So I'm going to tell it to you. Here it goes. So this is what I think happened. I think that Hari's dad and Hari's mom met each other when they were in high school. or maybe university, one of the two. And I think that Hari's mother had been dating Hari's father and found out that she was pregnant at the same time that Hari's father's parents had arranged for him to marry Hari's stepmother. But because he knew he had a child coming, he told the stepmother, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. I need to marry the mother of my child because I can't let my child be illegitimate. Well, he marries Hari's mother, but soon realizes that, even though we have this child together, I personally don't have anything really in common with you. We were dating and we made a mistake, and I don't hate you, but I don't really love you. And through, their separation, he reconnects with the stepmother, and the stepmother and him decide, you know what, even though it was supposed to be an arranged marriage, I would really like to pursue getting in a real relationship with you. So they're in a relationship, and Hari's mother kind of feeling like, this isn't right. I feel really insecure. She starts dating a lot of different men. And at the same time that she's dating a lot of different men, the father's not really paying any attention to that because he's got the stepmom on his mind and he's, making inroads with her. The stepmother finds out in preparation for their wedding that she can't have any kids. And she's distraught because she thinks about being robbed. She finds out that she can't have any kids, maybe because menopause or whatever else, but she thinks if Hari's mom had never gotten pregnant in the beginning, him and I would have gotten married when I was young, and maybe I would have had a chance to have a child of my own, and now I won't ever have a child of my own from my husband. And then she's looking at Hari's mom kind of floating about with man after man after man. She's like, and you didn't even really care about him, or you weren't even a good wife to him, so, she has resentment towards Hari's mother. Hari's mother finally finds out that a wedding date has been set between the stepmother and Hari's father. And finally realizing that Hari's father is never going to come back to her, she says, well, I have one of two things I can do. I can take my daughter with me, and because I'm from a poorer family than Hari's father, I could live on some bit of alimony, but she would never have the opportunities her father can give her. Whereas if I let her stay with her father, then she will have a chance to go to good schools, he'll take care of her, he loves her, and things will be okay. So the mother runs off without discussing it with Hari. And of course, Hari's heartbroken because, that's her mother, and her stepmother is like so vindictive and bitter about not having her own kids, and Hari's stuck in the house with this woman. And then Hari's father, feeling guilty about the fact that his new wife can't have any kids, he is super protective of Hari's stepmother to the point of punishing Hari. And he has his own kind of resentment towards her because he would have liked to have had a child with the woman that he really loved. And he doesn't hate Hari for being her. That is his child. He realizes that that's why he married her mother, because he wanted his child to have his name and be a part of his family. But at the same time, that's again an opportunity he didn't have, and so that's always been a point of contention between him and the stepmom. And so that is where all that pain and kind of rivalry and stuff comes from. That's my theory about Hari's family, and personally I think that would have been a great side story for the drama, but that's not what happened, and I just threw out this theory to you guys for those of us who kind of wanted to know what happened. So that's what it is. But anyway, I'm so glad that we did this together. By doing these videos, it really made me make sure that I watched this all the way through, because I would have given up. There were so many opportunities for me to give up, and I didn't, and it's because of you guys, for all of your comments, the really insightful comments. I love your long comments. I love just everything about this drama club. And while there weren't a lot of us who spoke in drama club, there were a few of us who watched, and I think that we all kind of enjoyed the series for what it was, and I think having a friendship group to watch it with made it definitely a more enhanced experience. For the I'm sorry, I'm still burping from that bicarbonate candy. For the next series that we might try, I know Oh My Venus is currently airing, so if we start that now, I mean, we'll definitely not finish before the run is over. I think 2016, first part of January, is when Cheese in the Trap starts. Cheese in the Trap is getting a lot of promotion, so A lot of people are going to be watching it, so we could definitely watch that. I don't know how soon Drama Fever is going to have the episodes, and that's where I watch my dramas at. So if we want to do that and Drama Fever has any kind of a lag, if you guys have an alternative website that we can use, we could definitely do that as well. Trying to think of any other shows that would be out there that we might want to try. I don't know. I always hear all the time about different shows being advertised that are going to be coming up, but I don't pay as much attention to it as I do like K-pop music releases, because K-dramas are something that it takes such a time commitment, whereas music, you can listen to it like that. In 5 minutes, the song is done. But if there's anything else that you guys have heard of that might be good for us to watch, I would love to hear from you. As for the end of the year movie, if you guys have any recommendations for what movie we can watch, let me know, and then I will be watching our movie recommendation on New Year's, the day before New Year's Eve. The day before New Year's Eve, I'll watch our movie recommendation, and then like that night, I'll probably record my review for whatever movie we choose. So that doesn't give us a lot of time. But yeah, if you guys have a movie that's maybe on Drama Fever that you guys recommend, I could definitely watch that, and then we could talk about that movie. Or if you guys just want to take a bit of a break until we start our next series, that'd be awesome. But definitely leave your suggestions down below, your final thoughts about the series, and what you thought of our format, if you want to do things different next time. I definitely feel like my predictions were way off for a lot of things, but I'm not ashamed of it, because it's part of the fun of watching, just to see like how close you are to what's really going to happen. But yeah, this was fun, and I learned a lot. I really hope there's other dramas that Siwon's going to be in, where he's going to be this kind of playful character again, because he did an excellent job. I was super impressed with him. And overall, I just had a really good time with this. You guys made this for me. But that's all. I wish you all a happy holiday season. I always get thumbs down when I mention the word Christmas. I'm sorry, but that's what I celebrate, so that's why I mention it. But yeah, have a happy time out of school, off work, things like that. And I guess I will talk to you guys later. Bye.